Simon 01.
102, half track 419, check this one out, 9, 210.
Whoa, way out of it for Simon 01.
102, half track 419, check this one out, 49, 210.
Whoa, way out of it for Simon 01.
102, half track 419, check this one out, 49, 210.
Whoa, way out of it for Simon 01.
102, half track 419, check this one out, 49, 210.
Whoa, way out of it for Simon 01.
102, half track 419, check this one out, 49, 210.
Don't forget, folks, too, we do have the legends from Overtaking Lane here this weekend. Live streaming all the action here today at 1320 Motorsports Warwick Dragway. So make sure you hit up their YouTube channel. It's pretty easy to find, Overtaking Lane. It's not too many, well, in fact, there's no other YouTube channels called Overtaking Lane. So look it up on YouTube, and they will be live streaming all day today. And even if you're not right next to the track, you'll still be able to catch up with all the action here at 1320 Motorsports Warwick Dragway. And there is going to be a ton of action here today. So we've got all sorts of great racing vehicles coming out, and of course leading up to the big guys. We got the wheel standers, and we've got the Nitro Funny cars. That is going to be an absolute sight to see. Looking forward to everything here today, but of course towards the end of the day we'll be jumping on to that, the big, what we would probably confer to as the big boys. First time Nitro Funny cars here at Warwick Dragway. First time for the full quarter mile here at Warwick Dragway as well. So this is a historic day for 1320 Motorsports Warwick Dragway. Of course, these sort of things don't happen by themselves and without a little bit of drama. So at the moment we're just ironing out a few little technical bugs. Once that's done, we'll be getting some action happening on the track. Just a little bit of housekeeping to take care of before we get underway here at 1320 Motorsports Warwick Dragway. First of all, very, very important, no speeding in anywhere in the pits, of course, but especially the return road. We're going to keep those speeds down. We don't want people getting hurt. We have kids running around. We don't want the right-hand lane always gives way to the left-hand lane. We don't want any cars from the right-hand lane turning across in front of left-hand lane races, because that's when things can get real scary and real dangerous. Also, there will be a guy there kind of directing you down there as well. So there shouldn't be any problems or any issues down there, but just so you know, that's the way things are done. And yeah, just a reminder, no speeding on the return road or anywhere else in the pits. Of course, it is nice and windy here today. I'm sure you've noticed that at 1320 Motorsports Warwick Dragway. So that is something definitely to keep an eye on as you go down the track, and especially cars using parachutes. Just be very careful of that. Very windy out there. You can see by looking at the flags around the place. The wind is gusting up a little bit here and there, and we want to make sure everybody's nice and safe. Of course, just another reminder too about no speeding in the pit areas, and especially on the return roads. We've got a lot of people walking around, even kids and stuff, and you know what kids do, they kind of step out onto roads without looking, and we don't want anyone getting hurt here at Warwick Dragway. So yeah, just keep the speeds way down on the return road and everywhere else in the pits. We've got all sorts of great things here for you. We've got our canteen. Looks like they are up and running over there for all, plenty of great food and drinks over there. Of course, we have coffee vans as well. We've got coffee vans both sides of the track, so you can get your caffeine fix no matter where you are here at Warwick Dragway. And of course, we've got a couple of food trucks over there as well. We've got the German sausage van and the decadent donuts. I love a good decadent donut, especially if you're looking to treat the commentator. I like the cinnamon donuts. Not so much on the glazed, but the cinnamon donuts, they are awesome. But of course, as I said, we've also got the German sausage man over there, and of course, as I said, coffee vans both sides of the track, so make sure you get your caffeine fix. And also, don't forget our canteen over there. They sell amazing food there. Best chips you'll ever have from our canteen here at Warwick Dragway. And of course, lots of other things, burgers, hot dogs. Well, they call them Pluto pups, but we all know they're not really Pluto pups. They're really Dagwood dogs. And all sorts of stuff over there. Cold drinks they sell, like when it gets hot, the icy cold can of Coke from our canteen. The best thing ever. So, plenty of places to get food and drinks here at Warwick Dragway this weekend. The sun is out, so even though it's windy and the temperature seems to be down, you probably still need to keep hydrated. And we've got plenty of places you can do that. And of course, speaking of that, as I said, the sun is out, but the temperature may not be quite as high as it normally would be due to that cold breeze coming through. But make sure you keep the sunscreen on and keep the water, the fluids up, and keep hydrated, especially you guys and girls over there on the hillside. It's good to see a few people with some shades up and some umbrellas and things like that. Big, nice big brimmed hats, things like that. Good to see. And just get up there in the nice sunshine, but keep shaded and enjoy all the action. You've got probably the best seat in the house up there, I reckon. And you'll see all the action here at Warwick Dragway. Look at that. That's one of the speediest four-wheel buggies you'll see, the four-wheeler. We're just testing our timing system at the moment, making sure everything's working. We've got the grandstands here on the control tower side. We've got shades up over them as well. So we are all good to go, all set here at Warwick Dragway. As I said before, our naming sponsor here at Warwick Dragway is now 1320 Motorsports. Make sure you support those guys so they can keep supporting us here at Warwick Dragway. The left racing lane is Golby Parts and Fabrication, and of course the right lane is PSR Pro Street Radials. A lot of big changes here at Warwick Dragway over the last year or two. Of course, we've extended the track from the traditional 8th mile all the way out to quarter mile, and this is the first race meeting being run at the full quarter mile. So we've still got a little bit of 8th mile racing happening here today with the 8th mile Masters, but the rest of it will be full quarter mile. Of course, the junior dragsters and junior bikes still 8th mile, and but first meeting for the full quarter mile here at Warwick Dragway. We're very, very excited, and it's going to be an awesome, awesome weekend. All track staff to their positions, please. We are very, very close to getting underway here at Warwick Dragway. So just repeating, all track staff to your positions. We will need all track staff in their positions before we can get underway. Looks like our timers are working. Looks like all our sensors for our lights are all working. So we are just about good to go. I think we're just sorting out a little tiny issue with the printer to print out the time slips, and then we'll be good to go. So just repeating, all track staff to your positions immediately, please. All track staff to your positions.
for Simon Iwanu.
102, half track 419. Check this one out. 49, 210.
Okay, folks, looks like we are about to get underway with all the action here at Warwick Dragway, starting off with the junior dragsters, the future of our sport. Of course, junior dragster and junior bike. We'll be getting underway first of all with the dragsters. So we've got junior dragster in lane 1 and junior bike in lane 2. So we'll also call now 8th Mile Masters to come into lanes 3 and 4 and Super Sedan into lanes 5 and 6. So if you're not one of those brackets, please stay in your pit area. But for now, we need 1/8 Mile Masters and Super Sedan to the staging lanes, please, as we are about to watch the first pairing of the weekend go down the track. It looks like it's Skylar Wagensveld against Kyle Day. Skylar Wagensveld, of course, in the Golby's Parts and Fabrication lane. And Kyle Day over there in the PSR Pro Street Radials lane. Looks like we're only a little bit over time, so that's not too bad. We've had a few little technical issues here this morning here at 1320 Motorsports Warwick Dragway. So to be only around about half an hour outside of time, that's not a big deal. Both cars out nicely. Look at that reaction time from Skylar with a 0.004 reaction time. She will go through and take the win with an 8.83. No, sorry, the win went to Kyle Day with an 8.76, and Skylar ran an 8.83. Call that wrong. First race of the meeting. Big mistake here from the commentator. Kyle Day with the win there, as I said. Just repeating to 8th Mile Masters and Super Sedan to the staging lanes, please. 8th Mile Masters and Super Sedan to the staging lanes. red light there in the Golby's parts and fabrication lane for Neela Poole. The win will go to Max Rowling over there in the far lane. He ran through with an 8:58. Tell you what, we've got some very nicely presented cars throughout the track and the pit area so far this weekend. Some very nice looking cars. Jacob Schultz out there now in the yellow car, up against Tyler Bellett in the orange car. Of course, Tyler in the Golby's parts and fabrication lane. Jacob Schultz in the PSR Pro Street Radials lane. Got to get used to calling them that. We've had different lane sponsors for many years here at Warwick Dragway, so great to have Golby's and PSR on board as our lane sponsors. Clean greens, both sides of the track this time, which is good to see. 8:29 for Tyler and Jacob with an 8:53. The win does go to Tyler Bellett in the left-hand lane. Nixon Canuli with the much better reaction time there in the Golby's parts and fabrication lane. Goes through and takes the win with an 8:21. And Alex Kidd over there in the PSR lane, he ran through with an 8:52. Always fascinating to see not only the cars that come out to race, but also the way the crews doing their final last-minute fine-tuning and adjustments as the cars are going into stage still. Doesn't mean they've been lazy in the pits and not done their work. It means they're just doing those last final little changes to get the cars running as good as possible. This time we've got Carl Schultz and Jasmine Kidd out there. Carl in the yellow car and Jasmine in that very nicely presented blue car over there in the PSR lane. It's PSR Pro Street Radials. This one looks like it could be a close race. Both cars fairly even off the start line. But the win light comes on in the left-hand lane for Carl Schultz with an 8:15 over Jasmine Kidd running an 8:55. Of course, Junior Dragster, as I said before, along with the new junior bike class, they are the future of our sport, of course. We get our kids into drag racing early with the junior dragsters and the junior bikes, and it's a great place for them to learn their racecraft, you know, how to race, how to drive these cars and bikes, and how to set them up, stuff like that. So very, very important classes here at Warwick Dragway, and at every drag strip actually, of course, is the junior dragsters and the junior bikes. As I said before, it is the future of our sport. And make sure we got great drivers coming through the ranks. Just a little problem there for Isabella Hunter. So we see her being pushed back. So I'm sure she will be back out again soon. Just probably a little bit of a minor issue there. I don't think there was anything too serious happening.
Oh, right. Does this one work? Yes. Let's have a listen. Yeah. Nothing like the scream of a bit of highly strung Briggs and Stratton here in God's country, Warwick Dragway. Phil, yes, honestly, mate, I was listening to you outside. It's like, who's that bright young 23-year-old voice I'm hearing on there? And I come up here and it's like twice that age, ladies and gentlemen.
Thanks for that, mate. I think probably like triple that age, but we won't talk about that.
No, you're not. Yeah. You're in your 60s, wow.
Not quite that old, but thanks anyway.
Bright young spark.
23, but that's okay.
Mate, I feel about 18. Every time I go to a drag strip, I feel like, well, however old these kids are out there right now, being Charlie Usher. Wonder how old Charlie is, but that's a hell of an upbringing, isn't it? Bit of drag racing on a Saturday morning beats the hell out of cricket, I can tell you that.
I spent a bit of time in my youth playing cricket and footy, but I think I would have much rather...
Oh, as a kid, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, and love that these kids can do it from as young as 8 years old. That's right, isn't it? 8, I think, is entry level for juniors. Goes through for a crackling 10.94, but yeah, if this was around as a kid's sport, it's a non-contact sport too. It's not like you're going to have to put bumps and deep heat and elastoplast all over your kids after a day of drag racing. It's probably better for that.
Imagine being that kid when you go to school on Monday and they say, what did you do on the weekend? Oh, I played a bit of cricket, played a bit of footy. Oh, I drove a car at 100 k's an hour on a racetrack.
Honestly, we can do a junior drag racing league where even you've got to turn up to training on Wednesday night. You actually got to come in here and do reaction time drills with your teammates.
Just get that full experience of the sports, yeah.
And you know what, Phil? Been around the sport a long time like you have, and I love the one-on-one battle that a drag race gives you. However, I do miss team sports, and that's why I love rugby league, greatest game of all, especially if you talk to any of the Loy family up here. That's why I'm wearing a lot of people wearing their Queensland jerseys today. Yeah, so I'm a big team thing, but I want to combine your love of drag racing to teams. Imagine if you had little junior teams, right? Six kids in a team, and you just try racing even that way, a little junior drag racing league. And give them a few things like average reaction times and average wins, and just, I don't know, all of a sudden I just think honestly, if you could go to a school that taught this sort of day-to-day basis, do you reckon we've got 100% enrolment there? Absolutely.
I know out at Coralbin there they have a school, and the kids actually can learn how to fly aeroplanes.
Is that right?
So imagine having that, but for drag racing.
You know what? You can have that aeroplane stuff. I'm happy to stay on the ground. Well, at least half of my tyres on the ground, at least. But that would be another good thing that the kids can get into. But yeah, flying a plane. That wouldn't be cheap though, Phil, would it?
No, it can't be cheap.
It's not $50 a trip.
I've never bothered looking into it, that's for sure. But
but it's good that you know that.
Out of my budget, I'm sure.
Yeah, Coralbin's another beautiful part of the world where we get to put a bit of horsepower down in a regional setting, and I just think it's so good that our smaller towns, Warwick's not a small town by any stretch, but communities that actually have a little bit of motorsport action within their shire. And especially over the back here as well. I mean, Warwick's really on the map as far as a motorsport destination, weekend in, weekend out. And, honestly, it's sometimes you think we could utilise it a lot more what we've got. But, volunteers only go so far. And even last night I was watching my son play inter-college rugby league. So all the Northside schools played each other last night, called Friday Night Lights. And there were thousands of kids there all cheering them on. So I know on a smaller scale, we can certainly do that with our drag racing community, especially the kids. We've got quite a decent entry list for the juniors here. And, maybe in the future the kids might have to start thinking of doing a bit of that. Because they're kids. If they ask nicely and say, please, we normally just let them do it, don't we?
Well, I'll tell you what, the kids, certainly. But when you get grandkids, that's when it really gets tough. You basically... whatever your grandkids ask you to do, you'll do it. That's all there is to it, It's like, unfortunately, you've got to be a little bit stricter with your own kids. But once you get those grandkids and you can hand them back whenever you get sick of them, go for it.
Yeah, well, I'm not quite there yet, mate, but I'm sure before too long I might be in that boat. Chances are. But it's interesting that you say that about, that the next generation, the grandkids. We have got 3 generations of races, in the sport, not only here but right around the country, right around the world. I'd be looking forward to that. I know of a couple of families actually that I've grown up knowing, their kids took an interest in go-karting at like age 16. So there's 2 kids I know. So the kid across the road and a kid that one of my boys went to school with. They are into karting, and I mean they are racing at places like Toowoomba and Ipswich. They're competing against, you would imagine, a lot of other kids. They all seem to have one little vision in mind, and that's, honestly, they want to be a Formula 1 driver or something. You know what I mean? Like to get into karting, and we've all had go-karts that we built in the day, but to have something as precise and competitive as what these kids have got. Like my poor neighbour across the road, Steve, like, as he said, he goes, I'm not financing this. He said he's got to work to pay for this. If he wants tyres, he's got to work to pay for tyres. He's not going to buy him tyres all the time. And then the other kid, they've enrolled him in a team. So there's probably 16 to 20 carts in this team. And you pay a certain fee, and that basically prepares you a cart, and you compete with that cart, and you've got people helping you work on it. So there's that cost, and then there's the other cost. So race within your means, and then racing to a slightly higher budget, but you're getting really good competitive vehicle setup and everything. And you know what? Not discounting junior dragsters, but I'd much rather just mess around with a junior dragster than a go-kart.
Well, yeah, for sure. And as you said, I think overall the budgets, I mean, there's obviously a decent budget with these junior dragsters, but I think overall you're probably looking at something a little bit more attainable in most cases.
Well, I remember the early days. So you remember the very early days of when junior dragsters came through, and actually someone might be able to tell us exactly what year that was, right? I should know. Someone will know.
We both should know. But, my memory's not that great.
Someone out there in drag racing land will probably know that exactly. There'll be a junior dragster kid there that was right there at the beginning. But I remember the early days. You would get the dad-built dragsters turn up initially. So initially you'd have, either they've obtained a set of plans. I mean, really, draw it up yourself. Like, I did a dragster when I was 21. I drew that thing up myself, and a mate of mine welded it all for me, and we made it.
Garage floor.
Wasn't the prettiest thing. Didn't know how to finish a few things off, but it was there. And you know what? Those initial dad-built junior dragsters came out. Remember, the rule was, it's still based on that Briggs & Stratton 6.5 horsepower single-cylinder side valve engine. But then, Junga, you'd know. When was the first year that junior dragsters were allowed in Australia? Oh, actually, Junga's old enough to nearly be one of the first kids in there.
Early 90s, wasn't it? Mid-90s?
No, what was the Scott Betts price the other day?
Oh, there we go.
It'd be late 90s.
Late 90s. So we've had it 25 plus years, junior dragsters in Australia. But isn't it funny, you remember as we said, the dad-built creations came out in the first few years, and then, the American ones established themselves in and out of Australia. And then that whole sport got to just as much as you're going to see the most tricked out Mickey Mouse adult drag vehicle. Yep. The junior version of that is just as smick. And folks, do yourself a favour when you are walking around and you got your kids. Go there and just cruise past and have a look. I mean, they're... I know I did it in the early days. I go, you know what, I could probably handle one of those in the shed, but can Dad drive? And that's another thing that I wish we could also bring into the sport, and it's a stroke of the pen in the rule book, that if you are a parent competing and you've got a kid competing in junior dragsters, you're allowed to compete as well, and at a certain time of the day. So it's because I've got friends in BMX, high up in BMX, and the best thing about why that's one of the highest growth sports in Australia is because it can be dad in a race, it's mum in a race, it's the kids in a race. And again, taking another idea from sports admin and looking, can we use it in drag racing? And I thought that would almost encourage parents to get a kid into junior dragster racing because there's something extra for them in it. And that is that they get to steer. And I'd love parents against parents, kids against kids, and then at the end, the top 8 parents race the top 8 kids.
Yeah,
but again, it's a stroke of the pen, Phil.
Well, that's right. But looking at some of the parents, are they going to fit the car?
Oh, well, look, that's we've got to start from the ground up in a few cases. But what I used to get onto, it's still a website around called racingjunk.com, the old Racing Junk, before everything else took over. Racing Junk, you'd search under junior dragsters, and there they were, and it says to suit 6'2", 220-pound driver. And you think, hey, mate, there was more than one of those for sale. Remember, this is America, right? So suit, yeah. Suit 6'2", 220-pound driver. And I look at that and I go, you know what? That'd be my car. And they were like, even that was a $5,000 US car. You know what I mean? So back then. And you know what? If you were to do the same exercise again and go looking for something like that, you'd probably find it. Because again, that's such a big sport in America as well. And, kids grow out of those things. Those things become not scrap, but they become no longer usable. If you've got multi-siblings, obviously a car's going to last you a long time. And we've seen junior dragster teams turn up and it's a brother and a sister and a brother, or 3 boys or whatever. They can come through. It's like school uniforms. You can just hand them down. But then when the kids get too big and too old, obviously 17's the cutoff and you're out of them then. But yeah, I just thought that'd be a great idea. Team sport, and parents are able to race with their kids. And I saw that in BMX. You see it in Speedway. When the whole family can turn up and race, I think that's a smart idea.
I think you're right, mate. And going back to your idea of the team sport, making junior dragster a team sport, you'll remember as well as I do that back in the day, the old Queensland version.
Even, yeah, you can have an interstate. Well, you know what? You just call it the national titles like they do, and you have a national event. State of Origin Wild Bunch was a great idea, and I still think there's room to go again. Many years ago, when Nostalgia Drags were around, the then promoter at the time said, "What can we do for the Nostalgia Nationals that might, be something, to try and promote?" And I said, "What about State of Origin Wild Bunch? Let's bring it back." So we went and approached Benny Gatt and said, "Benny, you used to be the captain of the New South Wales State of Origin Wild Bunch team." And he goes, "What do you mean? I've always been the captain." So that was his answer, Benny Gatt, right? "I'm still the captain." I go, "Righto, well, assemble a team," and we did. And then we went to Mackay and we went and saw Garth McIntyre. Here's the yellow HQ under the cover. And we go, "Garth, we want to know, will you captain Queensland in a revival of the State of Origin Wild Bunch?" And he accepted. And we had, of course, Johnny Loy driving the hatchback. He went in hard. We had Bluey Arnold in there. We had quite a nice little bunch of Queenslanders. And you know what it came down to? It was almost like the rugby league equivalent of 22 all at full time. Well, with 20 seconds to go. New South Wales had just taken another win in round 3. They had, in fact, levelled. It was all locked up. I looked through the window at Tracy Fletcher. I said, "Fletch, what are the points after that victory? What are the points?" And she goes, and she looks up and she goes, "It's dead level." And I go, "It's all locked up." And they go, one more pairing. And guess what? Then someone goes, "It's a solo." So someone didn't turn up. And guess who came through the water in the burnout? Garth McIntyre on a solo to win it for Queensland at full time. So that was a good recovery of the return of the Wild Bunch, and I would love to do it again because it's the sort of thing that, some people commit to a concept and then it's almost like, well, here's the date every year.
Yep.
What about just have one when you're ready, and you put another State of Origin one on? You can promote it up a little bit, but just choose a date, sand them out. Do it again. Either do it here. You can do it in any track in Australia. You can do it, but it will work here. It will work in Queensland, and it definitely will work in New South Wales. But in order to get a bigger crowd at that one in New South Wales, guess what's going to happen? A lot of Queenslanders will go there anyway, because we'll support that. But it's hard to get the Sydney siders out of their comfort zone on any given weekend.
I think the New South Welshmen don't get quite as excited.
No.
They get passionate and they get excited, but not quite
they're not.
They're
not as parochial, because you know why? Because that's that Victorian border that sort of sucks a little bit of that parochialism out of them. We're lucky. We're on the Queensland. We've got a very big state here in Queensland. We've got a lot of parochialism. We're infectious, mate. Our manners are infectious, and that's why we feel very strong about this state. And all of its fruit, countryside, its people, its expertise. Like you look at engineering, innovation, manufacturing, we've got it in spades, in southeast Queensland especially. Successful companies like we've got here, like 1320 Motorsports, Golby's of course, the Loy Boys, PSR as well. These are all businesses within this part of the world, and it's a thriving scene. Like, I don't know whether you saw out there, but there's a couple of hundred petrol heads, machinery out here. And you know what also gets me extra excited when I'm here at Warwick? I know that over the fence, there's another couple of hundred other people doing it on another track. I like that too.
Well, that's exactly right, mate. Like, when we're having a little bit of a break here on the track, like we are at the moment, we can have a listen, and you can still hear cars going full noise over the back there at the circuit track. So
it's got a buzz. It hasn't got a buzz. It really does. And I never get sick of the view here either. Looking back to the range here. Good group of people here already. Hello, everyone. Good to see you made it up here to Warwick. We're going to have some Nitro action later on this afternoon with our Aeroflow Nitro Funny cars. But we've got a ton of categories here as well of various sorts of weaponry. And the best place you can be is right where you are. And the best thing you can do is text 5 friends each and say, guess what you're missing? Come on up. I've been proudly spruiking to everyone that would hear, come up to Warwick, come up to Warwick. Come on up and get into it. There we go. Oh, look, it's our, we had our juniors. We're going to get our motorcyclists here. It's junior block.
It's been a long time coming, and it's overdue, but at least it's here now.
Marcus McDonald in the far lane there, and James Lowe knows the rev limiter because you'd be doing it on your dirt bike on the street. But here we are on the track. You can keep that thing fully P at a 10.13. Yeah, where would we be? 20 years of junior bikes by now. Like, I'd love to see the evolution of these. Make a decision, use a 250 or 300cc and say, look, there's the street bike class, or a lay down, or build. Can we add street bike and mod bike to the lanes, please? Is that you calling them? Was that you calling them? Okay. Do you want me to repeat that, or you just randomly yell that out in here? Street bike and mod bike to the lanes. But you know what would be good if you could do, oh, nice wheelie. He knows the start, Alex Redmond, Xavier Mansfield French. Oh, sorry, I thought that was the back of the chair. 11.35 for Xavier and 11.06 there for Alex with a wheelie. Yeah. Yeah, you can have your Saturday morning cricket just quietly. This is more exciting, isn't it? Here we go. Last bike of the field, and they're going to be able to compete against each other all weekend. Finding the stage here. This is Scarlett Mansfield French.
What a great drag racing family the Mansfield French family is. They've got the two kids on mum and dad both race as well. So
yeah,
drag racing family.
I love it. I love that we've got so many families like them coming through and through and through and enjoying it with their kids. That's the way Scarlett just got a bit of poke that thing. Yeah, and you can only imagine, because of their age, it's not like they can be out there on the street testing this. They've got to do it here. 15.62 at 55. There would be probably no street hits available for bikes of this nature because they're not quite licensed as to be on the road. But it just goes to show. And you know what? I love that they're a late model bike, and and this is what I always thought about bringing the motorcycle industry into drag racing early through kids, is that I want to see kids with Yamaha marquees in their pits. I want to see, owners of dealerships getting excited about kids racing their, off-the-shelf bike, like literally the bike that they sell tons of, but getting kids racing and involved in it. But this is the problem, Phil. I've just been, plumbing and working my whole life, mate. I had a million ideas of what we could do with the sport. And you tell everyone, you just wish someone takes one up and does it.
Well, it's a great idea, because you think about it, like, it's got to be a great idea for those manufacturers to get involved at this level, because then they've got customers for life.
Well, manufacturers just want to sell what they've got, and they want to sell bikes. And I had this great idea every Mopar Sunday. I have this idea when you see late model cars coming off the showroom. I thought, well, we don't have a Brisbane International Motor Show anymore, but imagine if you had something called the Showroom Shootout, where every manufacturer gets to race each other, but we give them the driving talent. They've just got to give us the demos. So, I want to see an i20 take on a Kia Rio, or you know what I mean. You want to see, because Dad might be sitting in the grandstand and go, you know what, I was going to buy that Kia Rio, but I think I'll buy that i20 because it just blew the doors off the Rio. I think drag racing still has got so many marketing opportunities that you just got to put in front of the right people to help them do what they want to do. And that if they're selling vehicles, well, guess what? Drag racing, we race vehicles.
Well, that's exactly right, and as you say, it's getting onto that stuff early, and you've got that loyal customer for life. So you get these kids involved in a Suzuki or a Yamaha or a Honda at this stage.
Yes,
they're going to be wanting to buy Suzukis or Yamahas or Hondas for the rest of their life,
and generationally probably too. Hey, look, a big shout on overtaking lane right around the world. We are in the USA, we are in Sweden. Hello to you this morning and this evening, and from Roma as well. Rome, Italy, I think. No, so yeah, Roma. Both. Yeah, very nice. Good morning. Oh, this is what I love. grown adults expressing their automotive freedoms, and if that involves blowing us in tyre smoke, that's okay by me. I'm not into vaping, but I'll cop this. Lee Dark in the Stato. Ashley Thompson, his Boss powered, so the 5.4 quad cam engine. And Ashley used to have a manual in it. Does he still have the manual? I'll have to check. But how's Lee Dark in the Stato? I know that thing was for sale a while ago, but I didn't know Lee grabbed it. Lee's got a habit of doing that with cars. Here you go. Drops the clutch. Yeah, he's got the clutch on. So yeah, Ashley Thompson winding up that ute, and we go over the 8th, 691 and a 717. 691 and a 717. Oh, yes. Hasn't this thing got some presence rolling around the pits here this morning? And I said, look at that big Ford pickup. And then I saw the name Carpenter, and you just put 2 and 2 together. Ford's drag racing and Carpenter. And Stephen, hats off to the choice. And what about Phil Halpert? What a choice. Bit of Aussie station wagon. And I bet you, knowing Phil, he hasn't got that rubber on it for nothing. It's probably a bit quick, this wagon. Let's have a look. Oh, picks the wheel up. Steve looking for a gear there. We get to the 660 right now, and Phil takes that wagon. No slouch, 752 to a 761. Stephen, only one gear there, but it came out of the hole. Doesn't tell us what size the engine's in it. I'd love to hear 600 something. I'd like.
And of course, this bracket we've got out there at the moment, a great idea. So we are running the quarter mile this weekend, but these guys are the 8th mile masters. So so this particular bracket still racing the 8th mile. So we're giving everybody the choice.
Right. I can't wait to see him over the distance here, the full quarter. But the 8th mile masters, it's good that you can choose. We can see Mr. The MM is at the class, 8th mile masters. So,
but we certainly are not ignoring our roots,
and never shall we, because I actually personally like that distance. I'm a big fan of the 660. Like, I love some quarter mile, and I can't wait to see it. But check this out.
Can we have street and modified to the staging lanes, please? Street and modified to the staging lanes. We're going to get you guys out there.
Super Street. Do you say Super Street? Super Street and modified. All right, so who have we got here? We got Damien Hannigan and Glenn Vanner. Glenn Vanner in the XD, I think, and Damien Hannigan, 1055. Oh, street, just street. Just street? Okay. Oh, they changed it. It's now just street to the lanes, please. Just. I know I'm just using the word just to differentiate from the other super people that are here as well. So
Super Street drivers, they wear their undies on the outside. Is that right?
I don't know. Yes. Yeah, yes. That's it. I just got it.
Just like street races, but with different outfits.
No, I got you. I got exactly. Oh, this is all of our stuff in here too, Phil. That's right. We'll crack them out shortly. So, look at the tyre underneath that Camaro. That's a hell of a lot of rubber under that thing. That's well, to my eyes, anyway, quite new, and it's good to see. More equipment coming through in all shapes and sizes.
Yeah, as you said, big set of Hoosiers under that Camaro, and it's one of the lesser popular models of Camaros, but still a great looking car, especially that one there. I love the colour and the racing stripes. Always makes them just that little bit quicker.
Any car with that much meat under the back is all right by me, but yeah,
that much tyre under a Hyundai and it'll look good.
Yeah, it would. It'll look awkward, but it'll look good. It'll look good. And just interesting here back in the, what have we got, something just idling past here. Oh yeah, check that out. Blowing 6. Oh, of course.
Blown 6 these days. There's a couple of names that come to mind, and that's one of them, Darren Otto.
Yeah, a lot of this stuff sticking around, mate. I know we've still got the average age of the blokes dabbling in this stuff's a little on the over 50s. But you know what? I've even joined there's a Facebook page there, and it's basically turbo and supercharged Holden 202. So there's actually a Holden 202 group, and then here's these guys building blower manifolds for them, and there's Strata turbo kits still lurking around on them, and the old red motor's never going to die, I don't think. It's guys are doing it from scratch. It's almost like, and I'm the same. You know, when you're a kid and you see things that you always wanted, the inner kid never goes away, and then one day you might end up with something you've always wanted, and it might be, you know what, I always loved a blow-on 202. Now I've got one. You know, you've living the dream.
And it just makes it that little bit more special when it's something that's caught your imagination when you're a young bloke or a young woman, and now you've actually worked your way to that point where you can actually get that thing.
I just think anyone that's here today has probably had exactly that. To get to where they are now, it's just doing what you've always wanted to do. This is, you can call it a motorsport all you want. The last time I looked, it was recreational. It's actually a recreation. So again, we can't discriminate against these people, or else you'll have to discriminate against people in caravans and people on, like you come through Gap Creek Motocross and you have a look at those all those kids down there with their parents, and again, if you took that away from them, there'd be hell. There'd be hell to pay in this country if you started to discriminate one person's recreation over another. And we have the right to do this for as long as anyone else has the right to enjoy themselves. But motorsport is definitely not on the downturn, and that's just from me standing back looking at everything from the periphery. More people are doing it than ever, and you got to look and you know, again, you look at the uptake of kids in go-karts, is that, you know, that Formula One Drive to Survive and all of that stuff, the obsession with motorsport like Formula One's really aroused motorsport. You've had YouTubers like 1320 and Cletus pick up between them 6 million followers that basically all they cover is drag racing. I can add 5 or 6 other YouTubers that I personally watch, and all in their own, you know, 120, 130,000 follower group. There's still another million there that are just watching the sport. You know, you'll go to where you are most fascinated, and as long as you people out there have your kids and that desire to maybe do this one day, is that you will eventually get there. This stuff takes a lot of hard work. Talk to any of these people that drive these things and got here. It took a bit of hard work, not only to get the damn thing here, but in life as well, you know, to succeed to the point that you can do motorsport.
That's exactly right. And when you start talking, as you said, about, you know, the rights of people to sort of build whatever they want, do whatever they want, you know, you look at some of these cars and you go, that's something that I would not have thought about, but that person has thought about it.
And that's cool.
We see a little old school Corolla with rear wheel drive and a big turbocharged engine, and I wouldn't have thought of it, but I love it. It's great.
Oh, look,
Thought of it, and it's awesome.
I love that. Well, there's so many cars every car's got their own personality, let's put it that way. Some have got different, more diverse personalities than others. But these guys are going to put their hammer down here. These are our 8th mile masters, Glenn Vanna and Damien Hannigan.
Look at that Camaro go.
Yeah, grabs second early and powers its way to a 6:08 at 114 and an 8:12 for the XD. Now, look, you talk about this Corolla. Now, that's Luke Hauser. Don't ever call it, well, just call it a Buick V6. There's another way to call it a V6, but it's a Buick, single turbo, I think. And this thing's a little rocket ship on 235s. Now, John Payne, the man doesn't really need too much introduction other than the generation gap for the people that know who he is and don't know who he is. This man, a drag racing legend, one of the first guys to go 200 in a door slammer in the world. Of course, the old Wild Bunch days as well, the early surface days with a HQ ute and a 180B Datsun. But guess what? He's back in a HQ ute. It's got 600 plus cubes on it apparently. It's got plenty. How about Lukey in the Turbo V6 gets out, and this will be a good number, 662 for him, but Painey blows the tyres off it. I do believe it's 600 plus cubes, but great, absolute treat to have John Payne here racing still. And look at this for a treat. Ladies and gentlemen, we might as well just be somewhere down in Georgia or Kentucky or Florida, because last time I looked, this is where these cars, well, they came from that era. But what makes it more exciting is that these are factory muscle cars built by Ford and Mopar to compete. Folks, to have these in Australia. The Adamses would go to the States and race these in the